Oscar Piastri finished P2 in Abu Dhabi and ended up finishing P3 in the season standing, meaning he lost the World Drivers' title to his teammate Lando Norris and also was beaten by Max Verstappen. And Oscar Piastri is a very interesting case when you look at how he has performed over the course of the 2025 season. Because for a while, he was actually leading the driver standing. And a lot of people had concluded that the race or the title was actually his to lose. And he had proved that he could be able to hold Lando. He was ahead of Lando Norris. And they could go back and forth between them. So at some point, nobody thought that Oscar would end up finishing third in Abu Dhabi or finishing third when it came to the championship. However, if you look at the performance of Oscar Piastri over the second half of the season in 2025, you could probably argue that that's where he lost most of the points. And there was a number of races where he really struggled and where he could not get his groove back. And that gave Lando and Max an opportunity actually claw back quite a huge haul of points and overtake him. And so to get to Abu Dhabi with him being third on points and having to have a race of his season so that at least he could be able to pick up any points if anything happened between Lando and Max, shows that while he has been progressing in terms of comeback, especially in Qatar and now in Abu Dhabi, as well as not forgetting the disqualification in Las Vegas, Oscar Piastri will probably need to spend time looking back at the season and probably analyzing what could have been, and he might be able to probably pick a few lessons which he'll take into the seasons to come. And we should not forget that while we may actually be a little bit hard on Oscar in terms of the point he has lost and the fact that he could have lapped up this championship a while back if he had maintained the momentum that he had a little bit earlier, this is also still his third season in Formula One. And he has demonstrated a great deal of maturity, a great deal of progress, and that he has the instinct to be a champion. So if McLaren can be able to build a good car in 2026, which can develop over the next couple of seasons, 27, 28, and as we go to 29, it's not far-fetched to think of Oscar also winning a championship in the coming years. That is, if he can continue, improving, learning from his mistakes, and as long as McLaren can be able to build a car that he can be able to actually compete with. So in the end, Oscar Piastri has finished P3 in the driver standing with 410 points. Those are 11 points behind Max Verstappen, who finished P2 with 421 points, and 12 points behind Lando Norris, who finished the season with 423 points. There are a lot of lessons that I'm sure he's going to pick, and he's going to look back with his manager Mark Webber and probably come stronger in 2026. Oscar Piastri is a case study that you should not ignore. If you are a person who actually likes high performance and you want to improve yourself as well as probably the business that you learn, there are quite a number of principles and lessons that you can learn to actually improve your life and business from watching and observing Oscar Piastri. Before the race in Abu Dhabi, there were quite a lot of conversations about whether McLaren would follow their papaya rules or whether they would institute team orders. And there were conflicting sides of the argument, where some argue that probably the driver should be allowed to race. There was also the risk that doing that would also probably give Max Verstappen a chance to win the title. And while those were all ideas that were being discussed, during the race it never actually panned out that way, because While Oscar Piastri started in position 3, he actually overtook Lando Norris and maintained second position to the end. He actually finished the race in Abu Dhabi in the second position. And so there was never an opportunity for McLaren to institute team orders because it wasn't necessary as long as Lando Norris was finishing third. And that kind of an overtake that Oscar did on the outside of Lando Norris kind of demonstrated the hunger he had in terms of fighting for the championship to the last line. And it shows that he still has the hunger of winning. He's still a racer, and he did not jeopardize the chances of the team securing the Drivers' Championship with Lando Norris. Oscar has had a very good season in 2025, but he has also had races where probably when he looks back, you realize that's when things actually started going south. And I don't think there is any other race where he has had worse performance than in Baku, Azerbaijan. And to demonstrate how bad that was, or how the fall-off ended up being, he did not return to the podium until in Qatar towards the end of the season. So you can actually see that that particular period between Baku and Qatar, that's where he lost the momentum, and that's probably the period when he looks back, you realize that's when his title hopes completely disappeared. And I hope he can be able to pick up lessons from those and ensure that those mistakes do not happen again in 2026 and moving forward. And if you have enjoyed this particular video, I want you to watch the video on your screen right now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my future videos.